Hi everyone, I'm Martin and welcome to another great edition for Astronomy for Beginners. Now, CCDs and CMOS cameras dedicated for astronomy can be quite expensive. Now, as you can remember, if you check out the link at the top, I did the review on the Altair Astro GP camera. Okay, so it's a fantastic little beginner astro camera to get people just starting out into astronomy, especially for if you want to take some basic deep sky objects and planets as well. Fantastic little camera for its size and at a reasonable budget, which is a main concern for a lot of beginners amongst us. Okay, we don't like to spend out a lot of money on a lot of astro equipment. Okay, so I did review this and it has delivered some fantastic images, and I finally got something, a useful accessory. And today I'm going to do a review on this. Okay, as you can see here, this is the Bright Star filter wheel. Okay, and this comprises just 5 filters inside a nice aluminium case. It is a budget filter wheel system. Overall, with this setup, with the camera, with this filter wheel and some reasonable costing LRGB filters, you can get all this for around about the whole complete setup for just under £400. Okay, which sounds expensive at first, but when you've got to think about, you've got the camera, you've got the filter wheel and all the filters combined, £400 is actually a pretty good deal. And it's quite versatile and it can be used for other things. As you progress even further and get more advanced into astronomy, into astro imaging in particular, then this little camera can serve as a guide scope like this. Alright, so even though you end up getting further afield and you have decent cameras and all that, this little device here can still be good as a sensitive auto guider. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look on this filter wheel. So we take a closer look on this Bright Star manual filter wheel set. As you can see, I purchased it from Modern Astronomy for £69.95. Now it sounds very expensive, but when I open the box you can appreciate the sheer quality from this awesome product from Bright Star. As you can see, very well packaged, and you've got a series of items in here. It is a filter wheel set that has a decent aluminium body. Okay, it's ionized. It comes with the actual adapters included, with an 1¼ eyepiece holder, nose piece, with a female end, and it comes with an 1¼ nose piece male end. Okay, so 2 adapters already. Comes with an Allen key. Alright, very good package foam insert, so it's well protected. It's around about 5-inch diameter filter wheel. Again, this fits 1¼ filters. Very well protective, very light. It weighs around about 200 grams if that. Okay, and it feels very robust. Now the reason I got this, filter wheels are very expensive, particularly if you want to image using your CCD cameras and all that. Filter wheels come at a high cost, and believe me, there is no other cheaper filter wheel at this price, at this kind of quality, believe me. The one nice little feature I do like is because it's aluminium construction, it has a special adapter to fit 2-inch format. Alright, so you can fit a 2-inch format nose piece there, and it's got a T2 thread on there. Alright, so there's quite a few adapters there. Now, the reason why I got this is I was looking for an imaging filter wheel, but also a filter wheel that I can use manually, so I don't need to use any power source. Now, a lot of proper imaging filter wheels will have some power which you need to plug into the computer and there'll be like a 12-volt supply to control the filter wheel setup. The reasons for that is to reduce vibrations. Now, mono cameras are very sensitive. As you can see, I've got a nice mono camera here. It has to be mono camera. Now, you can't use a colour CCD like this, alright? If you use in conjunction with your filters, with this filter wheel, it doesn't work very well, okay? It's only for mono cameras. Now, the reason why we use a filter wheel is because mono can only take in monochrome images, alright, black and white images. Now, for reasons for a filter wheel is you'll have different colour filters, a luminance filter, a red, a green and a blue filter, and you pass each of those filters in sequence, so you capture an image exposure through your mono camera, and you take series of those exposures in each of the colour bands in the filter wheel. And when you stack each image, you stack each one, alright, and you have a separate luminance image, a red, a green and a blue stacked images, and then you combine them by post-processing them. And what that in result will then, when you stack it together, when you combine all those images together, align them using a Photoshop or any dedicated software for your photographs, okay, that you've taken. So when you stack it together, you will have a colour photo. Now, it sounds a bit odd, but the reason why a lot of people go for mono and using the filters that way is it's a lot more sensitive, alright, and the mono has a massive advantage because it only has one colour to pass through. That's what makes them more sensitive. In other words, the light passes through better compared to a colour, alright, so it only passes through one colour, and because it only passes through one colour, you can just capture as much light and you gain a lot more detail through a mono than you do compared to a colour. The colour one has a Bayer matrix and it has to take sequence of red, green, blue and bit of the luminance in steps. In other words, if I was going to take a 2-minute exposure using the mono, I'll have to take probably double or 3 times longer with the colour one, and the colour one is not as sensitive. However, the mono will be a lot more sensitive because it only passes through one filter, and it doesn't have to be passed through separate colours like you do with this Bayer matrix on this coloured one, okay? So that's the reason why mono is really good for deep sky imaging. It passes through the light a lot quicker, it's a lot more sensitive, and you don't need a lot of timed exposures to pass through, okay? Compared to a colour, the only disadvantage of the mono is you're going to have to take each of the ones in sequence and you've got to try not miss any steps, okay, when you expose an image. So you've got to try and collect all the colour bands, the luminance, red, green and blue, all together in one night so that you can have a fully colourful image. Alright, so you've got to take all 4 of them to get the actual colour you need. The other advantage is using this filter wheel of using a mono in conjunction of a filter wheel is you can use narrowband imaging. Now these are like special filters you can put into the filter wheel, and you can capture using a mono camera in a different light wave, different cloud regions. So using narrowband images will enable you to see a lot more detail, and also with narrowband imaging you can image deep sky objects even when the moon is up, or you've got extremely heavy light pollution, okay? So narrowband imaging opens a new window for the people that live in cities and all that. Alright, and that's why you need to use a filter wheel in conjunction with a mono camera. Now this is an 1.25 inch. It accepts 1.25 inch filters only. Now the one thing I need to highlight is, if we take a closer look here, this is my QHY9 mono camera. Now I want to highlight this in a lot simpler form. Now you just got to be careful when you purchase a CCD or a CMOS camera. Now the sensor sizes are suitable for certain filter wheels. Now this is a 2-inch format filter wheel system. Okay. Now on this QHY9 mono, as you can see there, right, it's a big sensor. And if I was going to screw this onto the filter wheel, alright, which I can, using the 2-inch format, alright, as I screw this in, you can just see there that the filter it only just fits through. Alright, what will happen is, if I start to image a deep sky object in the night sky, because that sensor on my camera on this QH9 is quite large, what I'm going to get is a vignetting effect. So in other words, I'll get a light cone in the middle, and then everything else in the image looks dark. Alright, so it looks like I'm looking down a cardboard tube. It gives you that effect. So you've got to be careful when you pick or choose your filter wheel set. Make sure you order the correct size for your CCD. Alright, and in this one, in this case, this only just fits, but it's not ideal. Okay, it's too much. Alright, so this mono camera is, in the ideal world, I would use 2-inch format filter wheels, okay, like this one. Alright, this is a 2-inch format, a lot more bigger, alright, and this sensor will fit directly in there, and I will not get any vignetting. Right, you don't want any vignetting in the images. If you're going to go for a bigger size sensor, ideally get the correct size filter wheel to match the sensor of your camera. So ideally, check the specifications of your sensor size, alright, and that's usually measured in millimeters, the width or the length in millimeters of the actual camera, alright, of the actual sensor itself. Alright, measure that up, and then you can measure between how it will fit into your filter wheel. So check the specifications of your camera to confirm this. You don't want to be forking out for a filter wheel and then realise it doesn't work well with your camera. Okay, I thought I'd just highlight that out in a lot more detail. Installing the filter wheel, again, it's quite easy. All you do is use the Allen key, okay, all your 4 screws will come off, and you just lift the cover off, and there you go. Here you've got 5 inserts. So where we rotate it, you see the indication here at the bottom, it's all numbered. So what I suggest, when you install the filters, take note of these numbers, okay? So when you install your filters, it's very easy. You flip it to one side and you grab your filter. And the one I'm going to use is, because it's number 1, I use the luminance filter, which is a special kind of filter which is good for capturing all the faint detail of nebulas and galaxies, okay, within the structures. Alright, this is the maximum light gathering, okay, through this filter. And again, make sure that it screws in properly. If you get filters that don't screw in there, they're not meant to be forced in. But if the filter thread doesn't quite screw in there, alright, then I will not force that filter into that. Alright, demand complete new filters, alright, because you do get some filters sets that don't fit into this. I don't know why that is, because it's supposed to be one size. So you line your luminance filter, and then you flip it over to number 2. Number 2 could be your red. So we grab ourselves the red filter. So we grab our red filter, and again, same detail. Okay, so now I've got my LRGB in sequence. You can leave number 5 blank, okay? The reason why I use that, you can use that to take dark frames. And when you take a dark frame or flat frame, you just put your lens cap over, or your flat frame cover over the telescope. So this is what you use for using your dark frames, okay? So you use that for your dark frames. The rest of the stuff can be used as normal, taking your light frames on the actual DSO target you're going to image. So number 1 is luminance, number 2 is the red, number 3 is the green, and number 4 is a blue. So if you write that down, make a note of it, alright, you'll know the sequence of the colour filters in your filter wheel. Okay, it's very important that you do that. Alright, the reasons for doing this is that when you're imaging, you want to capture all the colour filters in sequence on that night. Alright, so you don't miss any subframes. Otherwise, if you miss a colour in particular order, okay, what's going to happen is your images are not going to be fully coloured. Okay, the biggest factor is if you get clouded out during an imaging session, guess what? You're going to have to start again. Also, capture that parts of that filter you haven't got on another night. That's the way it is with mono imaging. So if you're doing it on mono imaging using your filters, if you miss one filter, hopefully the next night, if it's clear, try again and capture the ones that you missed out. So that's the only disadvantages of mono imaging, alright, I'm afraid. One key aspect I do need to highlight is when you screw in your filters, make sure if you take a closer look here that there is a good 5mm gap. Okay, some filters might not fit. Alright, if they're too wide or too thick, alright, this has a clearance of around about 10mm. Okay, a 10mm clearance. So just in case, what will happen is if the filters are not screwed in all the way down and you haven't got at least a 3mm clearance, alright, if you put the cover on there, you're just going to trap the filter wheel, alright, and you can't turn the filter wheel. Alright, so it's very important that you have at least a 3mm clearance, alright, between the filter screwed in there, alright, and the actual main body. Right, you can just see a little bit of clearance. It's about on there is about 3 or 4mm clearance, so I can still rotate it. Now, before we put the cover on, another top tip is before you install the filters, all right, give the filters a final blow. All right, use the blow brush. Just blow out any dust particles, because once you've installed the cover, you cannot afford to get any dust particles onto the filters, because what will happen is you'll start getting some weird artifacts, dark areas where dots will appear on your images. So try and keep the filters as dust free as possible. So that's the filter wheel secured. Alright, 4 screws secured. Now, as you can see, I like how there's a nice clicking part, right? You don't need a lot of tension, alright? So when you're selecting a filter to expose using your camera, you can quickly just turn the filter wheel nice and easy, and it locks in quite robust. Ends, okay. So I can attach my CCD, alright, mono CCD, through here, like so. Alright, that's it. Attach it through there, and that's secured. Again, it's completely protected against dew. The other nice feature that I do like about this bright star is there's not much light for stray light to get into the actual filter wheel itself, so there's very little exposure. However, there is room for improvement, which I will highlight further on in the video and I'll show you the improvement. There is some gap of light that can get in there, alright, so any stray light may get into the imaging train and may create some weird artifacts within the images that you collected. So there is very minimal, there's not much stray light that can enter in there. But the good thing about this filter wheel is it's only a small gap. Compared to some filter wheels, there's a huge part where it's quite exposed. Here it's only a little bit exposed, so it reduces the less chance of stray light from entering the filter wheel, which you do not need. That's why I got this, because there's a lot less light that can get into there and it's very well protected against dew. The only bugbear that I have with this filter wheel system is that with the female 2-inch, with the female 1.25" adapter, the actual nose piece here is, I would like to have seen a brass ring inside here. Alright, I do like there's 2 screws there, but I would like to have seen a brass insert there, and the reasons for that is to reduce mooring your eyepieces or your CCD or nose piece, whatever is going to get fit into there. I would like to have seen a brass fitting that will secure your eyepieces, and so that when you're using the actual filter wheel, you're not going to mar or mark your delicate eyepieces or your camera setups. Okay, so I would like to have seen some kind of brass fitting or collar inside there. Alright, that's the only bugbear that I have about this filter wheel. So there's hardly anything or any improvements that needs to be made on this. What you get from a manual 1.25" filter wheel system, it's actually pretty good. Alright, it's very small, very compact, lightweight, very good construction, good protection against dew and stray light, which also can be further improved, which I will show you further on in the video. So what am I going to do now is we're going to take a close look. We're going to actually test this product out. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go over to the telescope and I'm going to begin the test there. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to take a close look from there. So we've got our Equinox 66mm imaging rig and the Smart IQ mount, and what we're going to do is we're going to fit the filter wheel. Again, as I mentioned before, you can use 1.25" format, however I prefer to use 2-inch format. 2-inch format, clipped in place like so. Okay, good fixture there, and it fits onto the draw tube on your focuser. Okay, like that. The good thing is you can rotate it as well, because as you can see here at the bottom, the actual filter wheel, you know, it's quite bulky, but there is enough play to rotate the filter wheel. So what you can do is you can actually unscrew the lock ring and then rotate it round like so. Okay, so you can have the control here for your filter wheel, alright, like so. Okay, the good thing about this is you can rotate the filter wheel quite easily with hardly any effort. Okay, there is an adjustment screw in the middle, an Allen bolt, where you can just undo the tension slightly if it gets a bit too tight. So the whole idea is to rotate the filter wheel by your finger, one finger, right, so without hardly any movement in the imaging train. So again, it rotates with ease, with a lot less effort. So you can rotate the filter wheel like so, alright, depending on how you want it. Okay, right. Again, you can, it's not just for imaging, you can use a mirror diagonal and an eyepiece like that, okay, already fixed. Like so. Alright, you've got your eyepiece and the mirror diagonal fitted there. Okay, so it's all, you can use the filter wheel in conjunction with your eyepieces, alright, and you can use it for visual stuff. So yeah, the filter wheel can house all your filters in a case and it's well protected. Okay, so you're not going to have loads of filters lying about in everywhere, okay, and losing them or risk damaging them. So yeah, you can use this filter wheel for visual purposes as well. It's well balanced. So again, adjusting your counterweights, alright, to match. Okay, there we go. So I'm balanced there. Straight away. Yeah, perfect. As you can see there, you adjust your counterweights to match the balancing, because don't forget your eyepieces, the filter wheel will add a bit of weight. So again, make sure that your telescope's balanced before you start using your eyepieces for that sort of purpose. So here's the improvements I made. Here is a little chart that I made, a little label that I stuck on. Okay, as you can see there, they're numbered, alright, from 1 to 5. Where the positions are, and then there's the colour from the lunium, red, green and blue, and then there's a clear. All them filters are positioned in those filters, and it gives me a quick little guide and reference so that when I image I know which filter on which position on each of those filters. Alright, and it helps me choose between the two. Alright, so if I want 2 or 3 or whatever, alright, I'm choosing the correct filters that I need. Alright, so very handy label there. So when I'm imaging, I know which filters goes on what part. So the other improvement is, as you can see, there's a bit of an air gap there, alright, where potentially you could have some light that could enter into the filter wheel. So what you do is you grab yourself a 5mm thick, round about 35mm length, okay, of just like sponge foam. As you see there, very fine foam. You can cut it out, alright, and all you do is you're just gonna, where there's a lip there, okay, you're gonna use a bit of glue, a bit of super glue or whatever adhesive you got, and you're just going to just dab a little bit on the edge there, alright, just enough so it doesn't move out of position. And what that sponge will do will still enable you to rotate the filter wheel, but the sponge will provide a little bit of protection for any stray light. There's a GP cam, and it fits through the nose piece. Lock the screws down, alright, and that's the camera set up. And again, adjust your balance according to, alright, so I'm slightly out, alright, so all we do is just sort out the balance. There you go. So I'm balanced there. So that's now my camera fitted to my filter wheel. Alright, as you can see there. Computer. And what I'm trying to do is, we've got a strong lighting source here. Alright, and what we're trying to do is we're going to test the filter wheel, the performance, with a 2-minute exposure and see how good this filter wheel can block out the stray light. So we're going to take a 2 minutes exposure using this setup, and and we're going to check, see if there's any light leakage that gets onto the camera. So we will get some element of noise in the actual dark frame itself, because the camera is only an air-cooled system. Alright, it's a basic camera. It's not going to be as efficient as a Peltier cooling system. However, the cooling will help lower a little bit of the noise, but we're just going to do a 2-minute dark frame. So what we're trying to do is test out, check out our dark frame and see if we get any light artifacts that gets through onto the dark frame. And you will see that it should be just a dark frame with a little bit of noise. If any light gets through, you'll see like light streaks entering the sensor. So you'll start to see weird artifacts actually on the image. If we don't see that, we know that the actual filter wheel's performed as it should. Now don't forget, this is the extreme, right? Your light, stray light won't be extreme as this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check out the image. So, as you can see, through those images there you've just seen, fantastic results. Alright, just simple fixes, alright, and this filter wheels really has performed fantastic, okay. Despite being within budget, alright, I'm very impressed with the results on how it's performed, how it's good against protection against dew, even with the stray light. Alright, that's very important, particularly when you have a filter wheel system. Alright, if you can't afford to have any stray light entering and ruin your images. So, despite the £69.95p, it is definitely worth the money. Okay, I seriously recommend for the beginners monsters, if you want to start out on mono imaging, then this is a fantastic filter wheel set to start off with. Very high quality, and the good thing is the only downside of it is the 2 screws. I would like to see a brass collar. So that's the only bugbear I have with this product, but other than that, a fantastic product. And again, if you want to order one of these, please check out the description below. Order it, definitely, without a doubt, and you will not be disappointed. So if you like watching my videos, please hit the like button. We're also available for Astronomy for Beginners Facebook group. Please join that group, alright? The description's below for that. And again, if you like watching my videos, please subscribe onto my channel, okay? Please subscribe and hit the notifications, okay? Hit the notifications icon, alright, and it keeps you updated when the new videos start coming out, which will be coming out very soon. So again, if you like watching my videos, hit the subscribe button, and thanks again, thanks for watching, and clear skies to you all.